Sri Lanka's troubles simply do not seem to end. After an economic and political crisis, the island is now facing a food shortage. The rice crop across Sri Lanka is failing, and the lack of fertilizers and farm equipment is being blamed. To make matters worse, rice is a Sri Lankan staple. How does the government plan to tide over the crisis? Does it have enough foreign exchange to import food? Let's find out next.
No meal is complete without rice in Sri Lanka. Lunch, dinner, dessert. You name your time and your place. Chances are, rice will be on the table. The average Sri Lankan eats 107 kilograms of it every year, which is why the latest news is worrying. Across the island, rice crops are stunted. In northern Sri Lanka, the average output used to be 4.5 tons per hectare. That was before the economic crisis. Now, just 2.3 metric tons. The gap is massive. And for rice-crazy Sri Lanka, it's an existential crisis. Almost 2 million people in the country are rice farmers. That's nearly 25% of all people engaged in farming. Their summer harvest has fallen below expectations, perhaps just half of last year's. Like all things in Sri Lanka, it comes down to their financial crisis. With no foreign exchange, Sri Lanka could not import fertilizers or fuel for tractors or farming equipment. As a result, the crops suffered. Most paddy fields in the country became stunted. For Sri Lanka, it's a double whammy. If local production is insufficient, the government must import food. That means spending valuable dollars. Sri Lanka had been self-sufficient in rice for decades, but that ended last year. The country imported 149,000 tons of rice. This year they have a contract to buy another 424,000 tons. And if things don't improve, perhaps more. The next sowing season is in September. Those crops will take at least 4 months to reach ideal growth. But even that is not a guarantee. As farming becomes more unreliable, many farmers are rethinking the next season. Some are planning to sit out the September sowing. Their reasoning is simple. Earlier, you could farm 75 acres of land with 75,000 Sri Lankan rupees. That's nearly $197. Your output would be 40 bags of rice from each acre. Now that's changed. The average cost is almost 200,000 Sri Lankan rupees. Even then, your output is only 18 to 20 bags of rice. Everything is more expensive. Urea once sold for 1,500 Sri Lankan rupees. Now, almost 40,000. The price of empty sacks has trebled to 160. So for many farmers, agriculture is simply not viable anymore. The crisis could trigger food insecurity on the island. Food inflation is already 90% up. 6.7 million Sri Lankans are not getting enough food. If the rice harvest does not improve, it may push Sri Lanka back over the edge. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.